Welcome back to another episode of WittyBantr. Your hosts Nabil and Daniel are here, and Anika, I think, doesn't have proper internet, so she will not be joining us.
She's in Kashmir.
Yeah, she's in Kashmir.
In the mountains.
In the mountains. Majit's graduation is today at Stanford University, and well, I guess I was going to say the engineering department, but I assume all the departments are having their graduation ceremonies.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because I feel like it wouldn't, if it's a graduate level school, like there would only be like 100 people. Or 50.
Yeah, like a few amount of people.
Yeah, so they probably did all of them.
Yeah, probably. But then there was also a ceremony specifically for engineering. They had their own separate one.
Oh, yeah. I think I had one too, but I didn't go to it. It was like, yeah. They had like our majors, and then they had like another one.
Yes, I was invited, but I didn't make it. The main ceremony I could have made. The engineering one, I believe, is going on right now. So
you could have made both. Oh, wait. Oh, I guess.
No,
yeah.
I couldn't make the engineering one.
Yeah.
Tim Cook spoke at the main one.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn. I didn't even know that.
So that should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I feel like other than the speaker, there's not really anything.
Yeah, there's nothing that crazy. And even the speaker, it's like, I mean, it's rare that you get someone like Tim Cook to talk. Usually they're just some
Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
Motivational.
Yeah.
Who's your speaker?
USF?
Yeah.
It was some priest or something.
Really?
I think so. I don't remember.
I remember it wasn't a church. I don't remember who was speaking.
Some priest or something.
Mine was some animated person. I don't know who it was. Like they were like really into it.
Yeah. Michael Pry was moving back from New York to California.
On Monday?
Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Did he already get his ticket? Or is he still? Okay.
He got his ticket. He's packing up his stuff. Getting ready to move. What else is new? Any video games that you've been playing that you enjoy?
Just got Witcher, but I feel like I have to be like not tired to play that game, which I have been because we played League late, and then so I just play like GTA just because I can watch YouTube videos and then just have that running.
Yes, League of Legends. It didn't hook me back in. It was fine.
Yeah, it was.
But it wasn't like,
all right, let's do this.
I'm not gonna be spending late nights playing that. I don't think.
Yeah.
That's why I have to make the next best video game.
Oh, you know what's gonna be fun is the flight simulator. I was looking at more
Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be like the game that you continuously play, but it's like, I mean,
have you ever played X-Plane? That's basically what has replaced Flight Simulator up until because Flight Simulator hasn't released any new ones since whenever the oldest one was or something. X-Plane has been the replacement, and it's pretty like physics are like the wings will flap with turbulence, and as you're coming down.
I have a feeling this one will replace that though, even though that one is still pretty good. I think because there's they actually use Azure AI to create the graphics. I don't know.
Interesting.
But there's like a lot. I think there's a lot more technicalities involved, like weather related things, like fog, rain,
right?
And as well as like graphically, I think it's gonna be more.
It'd be cool if like we were in a world where you could have Flight Simulator and like Grand Theft Auto in the same game. Like they can work on it. It could be two separate teams working on it, but the platform that they sit on somehow allow both to exist, where when you're flying, you're using flight simulators, graphics and physics.
I'll probably get to that point as long as the companies are in agreement of what pricing is involved, or who gets compensated for what.
Well, it could be a platform where if you haven't bought Flight Simulator, then you either don't get to fly, or if Grand Theft Auto has their flying, then if you bought Grand Theft Auto, you would just use their flying.
Right, but like, what if, who gets paid if... So you have to own the game in order for it to be incorporated? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So if you wanted to get in an airplane but fly it like with the flight simulators, graphics and physics and whatever, all their features, you would
have had to have bought it.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can't. The platform won't let you access that data.
Yeah. I was thinking that because like with GTA, if they had the driving of this other game I found out about, Assetto Corsa. Have you seen that?
No, Assetto Corsa?
Yeah, it came out in 2014. It's a racing simulator. But I think I'll get that once I get I'm getting the wheel, the shifter, and the pedals. But I'm getting it from Craigslist because some of them are like pretty expensive. They can go up to $500.
Are you getting like plastic ones or metal ones? I don't even know if metal ones exist.
Yeah, they do exist. It's a combination of both. So they do have full metal ones, which those can go up like 600 plus. But this is a Logitech one that's like some of the pieces are metal, and then like part of the shifter is metal, and the handle's plastic. So, but yeah, I want to test that out because I've never had like the full experience.
Yeah, no, that'd be cool. But yeah, that's the idea that I've had for my own project, is to have a platform where people can build out game related assets, and like it's like games are like one big game, but then there's pockets of features that people can work on, and then you can, as a player, can play, or if it costs money, you pay for it and then play it. Or like that idea of like, if you don't like, let's say there's a feature is League of Legends, right? That's a game that's built on this platform, and you don't like the balancing of something. If you're so inspired, you can fork that, make your own version of it, and program what kind of balancing you think is proper, and then people, if they like that, can play that, or just different variations of that.
Yeah, I think I don't know much about gaming development, like the code, but I feel like it would be difficult because they're using different graphics infrastructures to have the capability of
this. You would have to use this platform's graphics engine. So if I were to build a platform for people to make features under, yeah, you'd have to use whatever graphics implementation I'm providing you. So that is a restriction, I suppose.
Yeah, because I feel like NVIDIA they have those features released, like physics and all the, even ray tracing. But for a company to incorporate that kind of system, it would have to be really worth it to allocate resources to have developers incorporate this system. And I feel like the only way you could do that is if you already had a lot of users, which you can't really get users unless you have people who are buying the games.
I'm not saying that some other company do it. You definitely need to allocate resources. I mean, this is like, you're basically saying develop a cloud-based graphics engine.
No, I'm saying like not for you to develop the cloud-based system. I'm talking about for developers to
build
enable
features.
Yeah, to enable the this cloud infrastructure to be incorporated. Like
that would be my responsibility. So I take physics and whatever Unity 3D.
Not physics, but like the actual game. Like if I'm a game developer,
you would be using my platform.
I just created my game, or you would have to use your platform.
Yeah, you would have to. Otherwise, I don't know how you'd integrate it. But it's even beyond that. I want the game development to be, again, not so static. Not something where, well, let's forget that conversation. But I also want it to be like easier to a degree, where it's like you don't need specialized knowledge. So someone who's a modder would basically be using this kind of stuff,
which is already used for like certain applications, right? Like Facebook or
kind of. So yeah, like these guys, it's kind of like an API. So Facebook has an API that you can sign up as a developer and then use their infrastructure to build out your own application.
Right.
So it's the same idea of that, but in a more game related context. But that's one thing. But then I also want like AI to develop games and worlds and assets on their own programmatically. So because the end goal is there's no human, like, or it's not that there's no human interaction. It's the way, like, you shouldn't have to sit down, study code, and write it. It should be something where it's like the system is just like getting your feedback from the game somehow.
Yeah. And
then that's shaping the world. It's throwing out random things. If people,
it's more like artistic rather than like NVIDIA's thing of like creating a drawing and then like the AI or system automatically creates the stuff. I wonder if Azure AI, like, I wonder how they incorporated that into Flight Simulator, because like if they use it for the weather, does it produce different raindrops, like depending on how the game sees fit, or like did they do it in?
So my guess would be, so Azure is like AWS. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yeah.
It's Microsoft's version of AWS. They probably, my guess is,
well, they called it Azure AI, so I don't know if it's in the same. I'm sure it's in the same realm.
I'm sure it's a microservice of Azure.
Yeah.
Called AI. I mean, there's different aspects to this. Like, maybe they were able to set up hooks that pulls in like real weather data from planet Earth, and then with that information they can recreate the physics of whatever weather you want.
Or maybe it does real time what the weather is in that area.
Oh yeah, that
would be crazy.
That's true too.
Could you imagine, like, you're just like before a flight, you're like, all right, let me just test out and make sure. As a pilot, like, you're just like, okay, or you're just starting out and you're like, all right, like, I haven't flown in this kind of weather and we're gonna take off in another hour.
Well, what's crazy is we wouldn't even need the pilot to understand this. If we can get live information like that, and ahead of the flight, the computer can just recreate all sorts of scenarios to know what to do before it happens. So as the plane is flying, it's already 5 minutes ago figured out 100,000 different variations of each maneuver they're going to do.
Right.
And they can pick the best one. I don't know if you've ever seen examples of like these maze games. It's like a basic AI practice example where they have the computer learn how to complete a maze. And it's like a bunch of failures. After, like, eventually, like, some sneak over and get through, and then eventually you might have to do some modifications during that time, but then it makes it through. So if they do stuff like that, then, you know, your plane on the fly could, in autopilot mode, could, you know, figure out
what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what's interesting is what was the Boeing 737 Max?
Oh, yeah.
So, did you ever look into why they?
From what I understand, is it was a software bug in one of their new little systems that's supposed to. It's like an anti-stall system where if it detects a stall, it'll bring your plane down or something like that.
Right.
But it was malfunctioning to where it would nosedive the plane because it thought it was stalling, and then it would stop for like a little bit, but like that wasn't enough. But they kept, then like 30 seconds later, it would do it again.
Right.
And then the pilots couldn't fix that, and then the planes would just crash.
And I also think the reason they incorporated that was they moved the actual engines higher.
Okay.
So
so they thought
they were having that issue where it was automatically lifting up.
Oh. Okay.
So they had to create that system to correct it. But people are saying that technically the accidents were preventable because they could have turned off that. There was like a switch. But
they weren't told.
But they weren't. Yeah, exactly.
They didn't even know it existed.
They didn't even know it existed. So obviously it's the fault of Boeing. But if they had incorporated that in the flight simulator game, that'd be interesting. Like if they created all these weird scenarios based on previous accidents.
Are you saying related to this incident?
Yeah, or even previous incidences of like maybe if they found the box for the Malaysian crash, they could
figure out what went wrong.
Yeah, and if it was a human error, like they could recreate that scenario in Flight Simulator.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think maybe it won't be as like complex as creating, graphics or even games on their own. But I like how I like the ability to incorporate like the
it's
AI
a step
to make
in that direction.
That's true. Like being able to have the weather real time, or like even if they could do the whole like generated environments to where you were going into a new environment, even that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, because I mean you kind of have that, like if you think about Minecraft, that's a procedurally generated map. Those are every time you create a new world, it's based off just some random number, and then it builds it out on its own. So the only thing is like that world, everything else then just stays the same, and it only changes if you break bricks or whatever, or stones.
Although I like I liked Battlefield's kind of incorporation of the like destructive environments, to where like as the game progresses, things will, and like the building will fall or something in the center. So if they were able to create those kind of like I don't know, destructive environments, but like have it generated to where it would just either do it based off where you hit it, or like just in a different way.
What's cool is it can be less static. So in Battlefield's case, they're very static because there's like certain trigger points. At this point, this same building will collapse every time you meet these requirements. Or
the waves too.
Yeah, but you could have it. You can still have requirements, so to speak, but it could be just on everything.
Because I think the randomness makes the game's more interesting too, which is why League started introducing the those like exploding things that you can jump over walls and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
That was to create a sort of randomness.
Yeah, I also think there's a level of depth that some games lack. Depth that like the player can go like figure out, as opposed to the idea of, all right, sit in the little roller coaster and we're going to guide you on how this game's going to go, and you can do stuff, but
none of your
decisions doesn't matter.
Affect
So like a level of, well, if you just take classic World of Warcraft, I feel like the game was developed and not everything was, the developers didn't know like they didn't spell everything out, if that makes any sense. Like they made the game, and then there's these little like avenues of not exploits, but ways you can play the game that maybe even the developers didn't realize. But it's like, we put the world out there, and these are some assets, and here's some basic functions that you guys go out and like
create your own
play
thing.
in the sandbox, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with that, but
You like games that have a sense of like you can create your own.
yeah, something I can experiment with, realistically experiment with, not like I guess the idea of a meta, like if there's a best way to play a game and it's known.
Well, sometimes it's not just like one best way to do something. Sometimes it's like they do have like, I guess, the best way of doing things, but there's
I guess it depends what game we're talking
ways,
about too.
yeah, that you can I guess, win.
Well, let's just take World of Warcraft.
And also those metas were created by
people.
The people,
yeah.
So
true.
it's not like
yeah,
it's not set in stone, but again, I guess that would be an example of the sandbox, you having users who are
but there shouldn't, I don't know, there should still be there shouldn't be one meta way to play the game, even if it's created by the players.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to use my creativity and be like, you know what, it's gonna be, you can counter this meta by doing ways. This, and even if it when we say like there's a meta for League of Legends, it's based on the characters that exist, and it's based on how much ability, power, and attributes that they currently have. There should be a way where it's like, I can go out and create like a new weapon, for instance, with set attributes.
Okay.
But in a way where obviously you shouldn't be able to make some
overpowered.
Yeah, exactly. But based on some sort of core, based on some sort of core principles, like how if I wanted to make a plastic thing, I have to understand just the elements of plastic. Like once you understand that, then you can go ahead and like make different things. So that should somehow be spelled out in a game where I can, based on some core principles, I can go out and make a weapon or make some sort of cool functionality, a cool way to jump, or I don't know. Just give yourself tools to like be more creative in games.
Yeah, I guess. Because
when I play some games, like, I mean, maybe I just have lost my interest in games, but I don't know. I just get really bored really fast. Total War was interesting to a degree. It's like when you understand your armies have like the melee ones anyway, have like melee attack, which is like the chance to hit someone. Then there's like weapon strength, which is the amount of damage you do. And you can try and match those up against. And then the idea of like making, if you have like two armies, let's say, and they're just like one in front of the other, if you just attack straight forward in front of the enemy, you're only utilizing the back guys. Obviously can't do anything.
Right.
So the strategy is like, it's good to wrap around them.
Right.
So like things like that makes it interesting.
More dynamics, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like more.
And single player games too. I like those. Well, I guess Total War is single player.
Yeah.
Or something where like it doesn't have to be. It could be like Minecraft where I'm just building a castle or something. But if I build that castle, I want that to be part of the same game when I'm fighting people or something like that. I don't know how you would do that, but everything I do, if it can still be in the game, in the same game, like that would be cool.
Yeah, I realize I don't like. Well, I don't mind it, but I don't care as much for like ranked games, or even like you were saying, like the skilled movement type of thing,
the mechanical stuff.
So I guess I would be interested more in the like creative aspect of creating your own sort of.
Or okay, if you think of like Grand Theft Auto, when you're making money, it's fun to like learn different businesses you can buy and like do some sort of routine to make money. But it'd be cool if like you could develop a certain strand of cocaine, and you actually in the game have to, I don't know, put elements together to make a potent strand of cocaine, and then you can sell it to live players who go out and sell it to other people or something.
Create your own meth.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you had that level of detail,
that would be pretty crazy.
And
but I do like I like the aspect of being able to do or getting one objective in like multiple different ways.
Sure.
That way the game doesn't get as stale.
Yeah.
Like in Grand Theft Auto, there are weeks where there's double money and stuff where you could just continuously do the same mission, or even like heists. You can continuously do that, but I feel like it would just get boring after a while. Well, it will. So I like the aspect of like, okay, you can make money having your motorcycle club businesses, which I don't do, but or you can make it like through your nightclub, or you can make it through your vehicle warehouse, or you can make it through warehouse. What really interests me though now, instead of the aspect of like ranking up, is more of like having the ability to destroy other people because you've spent more time building resources. And it's kind of like it
would be like World of Warcraft, where like you spent a lot of hours grinding out something,
and now you're really these powerful epic pieces.
Right. That's true.
And then like people, like when I had my insurgent or whatever in the mission, you're like, well, what? Like where'd you get that? Like, man. Don't worry. It's like 3 million. What's good, brother? Like, man, don't have a life, son.
No, I agree.
I like that aspect. I don't like the cheating, and I don't like the exploits and glitches and long load times, but I guess I'm willing to work around that. But I liked, even in Battlefield like 2, I like the aspect that when we were playing that, one, I guess we had the squads and the gameplay was a little better itself, but I like that it was really hard to unlock like the best guns.
Yeah.
And so then when you had those guns, you felt like, oh man, like I'm just now when I walk on the battlefield, I'm super powerful. So I think I'm more interested in that aspect, but I feel like you do have to be careful of what game you pick, because if you pick a game where it's like not like, if we
for example, Dark Souls, it's very hard.
But that one's single player, so it's not like I do like single player. Like I like the story in Odyssey, and I like that your decisions can affect how the story plays out. But I don't care too much for the extreme difficulty of the game. I think like Dark Souls, and then there was the game that just came out that Michael was playing.
I know, the Japanese
Sekiro
one.
or whatever. I mean, maybe
I guess people like those too.
I can see why people like it, because when we used to play like Nintendo, I feel like there were certain games or missions that we did that like took a long time to figure out, and then once you figured it out, you're like, nice.
I was gonna say you can't make it too hard for players, but you know what? Just
have
impossible things.
I was gonna say
that makes the game better, because like I mean, you might be frustrated that I can't get that. But it's way worse when everybody can get everything, which is what like World of Warcraft
has become.
It's easy to get to the highest level. Getting levels was a hard thing at one point.
Or even the problem with the other Blizzard game, the MOBA. I forget which one that was called.
Oh,
the idea that we all get to share.
Storm. Heroes of the Storm.
Heroes of the Storm, yeah. The idea we all get to share in the success. Like,
what do you mean?
Like that when you kill people, it's like spread.
Oh,
spread
out. Is that what it was? I don't remember.
Yeah, like whenever you got any experience points or money points, it was spread. Like,
yeah, that's lame.
Yeah, it's like
if
we're all the same.
Did
like,
all the
what?
work, yeah.
And yeah, that too. I did all the work. Why are you guys getting the fruits of my labor?
I also think in those kind of games, like I don't know why this hasn't been implemented, but the gold you get from killing a guy should just be directly related to the amount of damage you did in the session or in the little skirmish that you had. You know what I mean?
Say it again.
So like,
not following.
Okay, so right now the money that you get is based on if you last hit the guy. If you did the killing blow to the guy, you're the one who gets the money for killing him.
Are you talking about in League?
Yeah, I'm talking about in League.
Oh, okay.
If
you got the last hit rather than if you did 90% of the damage.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then the assist thing is where it's like the guy, if I hit him one time and somebody else hit him 10 times, if we both assisted in the kill, we get the same amount of gold.
I agree with...
It wouldn't be technically hard to just have a calculation where, based on the amount of damage you did, you get that much gold or something like that.
I still think the assist...
I have no problem with assists.
But
the assist then should also be how much you assisted.
Oh.
So if you're a healer, obviously you're not going to do any damage to the guy probably.
Yeah.
So it should be, I don't know, the amount of healing you did on the guy or whatever your primary source of like assisting was should be how much gold how you're rewarded. You shouldn't be rewarded for effort you didn't put in.
Yeah, I agree.
And like if you are not helping, you should be a weak character. Like your character should be.
Yeah, it should be. Like,
we shouldn't be equal by the end of it. Yeah, exactly.
I think that is the case for the most part in League, but I agree that like the whole aspect of like you got the killing blow. It's like, I don't know, maybe give him a bonus, but I think the person who did the most damage or most healing, maybe not most healing, well, maybe either one should have the, should get the credit.
Yeah. It would be cool if like, again, I guess I'm going back to the whole idea where all the games are like part of one game, but like a guy's playing City Skylines, making a city, and then the other guy's playing Grand Theft Auto in that city. So like you can build out a city. If you like playing City Skylines, go ahead, you build out a city. Everybody's playing in it if they're playing Grand Theft Auto. The flight sim guys are in that same city but in airplanes. If you like all three, you can bounce through all three of them. Some way to integrate these different, obviously these game companies, they do some things very well. So Flight Simulator they don't do, if you ever play any flight sim, the ground, the planet is just, there's nothing there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's like maybe a building or two, but everything's flat.
Yeah.
So they don't even focus on that, but they focus really hard on the airplanes.
Mechanics of that airplane, yeah.
And Grand Theft Auto, well, I guess they do a good job on cities, and then they do a good job with, I don't know, just role playing in a city world. So I don't know, just a way to combine those.
I wonder if companies have ever done that. Like,
I guess the problem is back to what you were mentioning is like
integrating.
If they're using different graphics engines, you're kind of SOL.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm sure there's been games that they just work together. They're like, oh yeah, we do this well, we do this well.
The other thing though is you have to set it up where you don't have to work together like that, because that is even harder to do. If two companies had to come together to make it would be way harder. It should be, you have a platform and then it's like you work at your own pace. So the Grand Theft Auto guys were working on their stuff.
Yeah. As
the Flight Sim guys are developing it, the Grand Theft Auto guys or someone can mix them together, or the platform does that. But my point is, each group can work at their own pace, and then the game that you're playing is just the result of wherever they're at.
Right.
And then that way you don't have to have people working together, because that can be hard.
Yeah.
And again, it always has to be dynamic. And then other people come in with their own features. Maybe Flight Sim breaks off into these guys want to do some NASA stuff or space stuff.
Or
anything really. It can be something out of this world too.
Yeah.
There's games like, I don't even remember what they're called, but these like planet exploration games where you can go from like planet to planet.
Yeah.
So you have those guys that can expand on that. And then on the new planets, the City Skyline players can play the game on the new planets, develop new worlds. All this different variations of the simulator games, truck simulator.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
All those guys can.
Dude, that would be funny. Yeah, if they had just like literally a city of simulators.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Almost like a real life. Yeah, I didn't even think of if they had like truck simulator, people were just like delivering cars, but
right.
Like,
and then
also there's people street racing. Like, the same
Need for Speed, the Need for Speed people. Yeah. And it's funny, it's like it could be connected to other things. So like the truck simulator guys could be, if you have a cocaine business, you hire the truck simulator guys to deliver
the
exactly
cocaine. And then you don't hire fucking Steve because he always fucks up the
they can have reviews. Steve is not always on time. His truck's kind of slow.
Tickets.
You could have there's those engine building games. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. You could have those guys making trucks for the truck simulator guys.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised they haven't done that with simulators. Like have different. Maybe they are working on different like graphics engines, but like why?
I think the problem is just even if they. I mean, first of all, there aren't that many graphics engines. There's like 4 or 5 popular ones.
Yeah.
And there's probably a high chance that simulator people are working on the same engines. There's just no way to connect them. They would have to meet together.
Right.
But if these graphics engines, well, that's where I think the Google Stadia could come into play, because if people start developing things on Stadia, then Google can, if they want, can maybe have the possibility of connecting them somehow.
Like they're already doing cross-platform stuff, but I guess that's only for like that game, like PlayStation, Xbox, and PC on Rocket League or other games. But I guess it would be difficult to have multiple games running on the same.
Again, it would all have to be one game. Yeah. In a sense. They're just, these other things are just like features, game modes kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're just all in the same. They're built off the same platform.
I feel like that wouldn't be that hard.
Oh, hard.
To have that, right? Because like
theoretically,
if you're not like, especially in the simulator games, like you're not getting out of the vehicle, right? So all you're really changing is the different feedback or different
you're basically
in
making
each vehicle, and then everyone can see each other real time, or like whatever like object you're looking at is just different, right? Like I don't think
I don't think it's that hard either, like theoretically anyway. In practice, I'm sure there are all these technical issues, but
sure a dev would say something. It's just,
but again, it would be the idea of like if everybody used the same graphics engine, and we were building off the same game. So like how Grand Theft Auto has their base game, and then on the multiplayer they have the casino expansion. This idea would be like everyone is making their own expansion to the game. It would be like World of Warcraft. You can play all the expansions in the same game. But in this case, an expansion would be like
a different game.
It would be the same game, but it would be like more features in the game.
Yeah.
You're essentially, the game developers become like featured developers. I mean, you're still a game developer, but you're all working on the same platform, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, I think theoretically
I think the
doable.
Simulator games would be the easiest to use that kind of thing, because like I could understand if you were doing like Oblivion and Skyrim and stuff like that. One, they're like totally different worlds.
Yeah.
But two, it's the features in each game don't really complement each other, I guess. Well, I guess they could, but
yeah,
you would have to make the game like.
You still could. It could be. It would be something where like. So like, let's say our 3D guys are like a base unit, the Grand Theft Auto, and then like, you it's like taking Grand Theft Auto guys, and then like, now you can only wear like, let's say you're making, what was the game you mentioned? If you're making some like Total War Japanese game, now all the models, they can only wear like, in this part of the game, they can only wear like Japanese related clothing where everything is transformed, and the buildings, the buildings that are generated have to match style that says like Japanese 1700s or 1400s or something. So I think even that's still possible, even if it's like an era specific thing.
Yeah. I think it's possible, but like there would have to be more cohesion between the developers to have those. Versus in simulators, they can be running independently. Like you don't necessarily have to have like the drug dealer make the shipment. You can literally, the game's still like the truck simulator. You're delivering packages for someone, but also in the same world, you have a race going on, a street race going on, and then
I see. So yeah, so you wouldn't. The
developers don't have to work with each other. They're just in the same setting.
Right. Well, you could have something. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, you wouldn't want cars driving through your Japanese 1400s. But you can,
or like you
can have some sort of restricted area where the developer can say, okay, I'm only in this area. Only these assets are allowed. Right. So, like, if you're in a car, if you hit this wall, it'll be an invisible wall and you can't go through it or something like that.
Right.
I'm sure there's ways to work around it if you wanted to make some sort of era-specific like thing. But yeah, and then I was just thinking like, so I had said like City Skyline guys are playing with Grand Theft Auto guys, but then like Total War people somehow like, wouldn't it be cool if like there's armies and then like you can be like I can be a guy
soldier in that army.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which isn't a new idea, but
there was a game a while back.
Yeah, I think I know exactly.
But it wasn't online. It was like.
Okay, I think it was actually like a Command and Conquer type thing, if I wasn't mistaken. But
there was one that was like based off of mythology,
okay.
And like you could become the hero in that army, which is actually pretty cool, and like you could cast spells and stuff. But yeah, it would be cool if you could have.
Yeah, and then like you, like I'm sending out big guys, and then I can like also see your little guys going in, and like, and those
you're like, hey man, go that way.
Yeah, or like. Or it's just like I send them and it's like, maybe it's like, oh shoot, like I'm probably going to lose based on what I have. But like individual players can, if they're hella good, can like change the outcome sort of thing.
Battlefield 2, I feel like had that kind of idea where you could be the commander and like start giving care packages to certain people.
Right.
Also, you could be actually in the war fighting. And then you had like planes, but like, I feel like there was more cooperation. Whereas like now when I played Battlefield, everyone would kind of be doing their own thing.
Yeah.
You could still mark like, oh, we're gonna attack this location, but the planes would never, or like command. One, there was no commanders, I guess, and two, the planes kind of just do their own thing and just
in the new ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of issues with that, but. I like that whole idea of having different ways of contributing to the game while not necessarily playing the same game.
I agree. It would be cool also just if their maps are procedurally generated.
Which one? Oh, like Battlefield?
Yeah, like Battlefield. So like every map is not the same.
I think they're going to start doing that. Like I have a feeling at least that'll
be
the first.
There's one thing to say like, if you keep changing things in a specific type of game, like we can't learn it and then we can't get good. But I don't know, like I think it would be better if like the maps weren't always Dust 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, and then the game becomes a very one thing where it's like, yeah, people can get really good at the game on this map, but it's like you have really to. Well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which I guess there's a value to that because like you can get. If you know the map really well, now we're talking about Counter-Strike, you can throw bounce grenades off specific points to like make plays.
Right.
And you can't do that if the map keeps changing.
It makes more sense for competitive players because you can't.
Yeah.
You can't predict,
Yeah, that's true. But if you're,
like,
but I think
if you're playing when you're playing sports, it would suck if all of a sudden the ball just randomly,
or if like the goal, if like
or all of a sudden
every time you play a game, like there's like 5 goals in one. It's like what? Or like they're triangular shaped fields.
So it doesn't make sense in competitive play, but I think the way like games are gonna go, it's gonna. I mean, there'll be games like that because people are more interested in the gameplay versus the graphics of the game. So they have to keep it interesting.
Is there something to be said though? Okay, even if you want to stay competitive, like somebody who can adapt to ever-changing things, the best is a more competitive player. Like, can you not have a competitive game in that setting? Just the idea of like, as long as you're able, the bottom line is you have to be able to use your brain to like make plays.
Right.
So if you can't make plays because you know the map, then it has to be something else. Like, I don't know, you have to, something has to stay the same. I guess there has to be fixed, I guess your guns or weapons would probably stay the same.
I think most, like in pretty much all competitive play, there has to be a very large amount of consistency.
Yeah, that's true.
You can have some randomness, but like for the most part, I don't think your environment can change that much.
Yeah.
Because those are kind of like distractions from who's actually better.
You have to fix variables.
But I do agree though. A good player should be able to adapt to any situation, but they'll say that the thing is unfair because like, when we switch sides, the map changed, but like it didn't favor me, or like on all 3 cases, it didn't favor me. Which
I guess you could have you could have maps that are initially procedurally generated, and then it stays the same, and then if you want to venture off, you can go into new lands where like more maps are procedurally generated or something like that, or maybe the city skyline guys are making the lay of the land. I think they should
have that where it's like someone's building a base and
you can play in the base.
Yeah. You get to play in that.
There should be macro and micro.
Yeah.
There's macro and micro is a spectrum.
Yeah.
There's some
I wonder if Rust is like that to a certain degree. I feel like that's where the complexity comes.
I don't think there's any macro where like.
I think the building of the base, right?
Well, but it's not like a third person where it's like I'm gonna lay down, like.
I think so. Like it's not like you physically build the base.
No,
at a certain point you can.
I think it's like how in Fortnite where you like build your base.
Yeah.
I mean that's not like macro level play.
But I saw like a third person view of one of the.
Maybe I haven't played it, so I'm not sure. But yeah. That would be cool. I think it's doable, and that's the kind of like software I want to develop. And I want it to be I basically want to make the platform to enable people to do this. So it's like, and the tools should be relatively easy where you don't have to learn. If you don't want to learn programming, it's like you can play. It's like, if you want to make a new map, you just have to know how to play City Skylines to make a new map to play in it or something like that, as opposed to learning how to program textures and walls to make buildings.
Right.
So I want to make the platform and then people like you would subscribe to my service for some $2 a month or something like that. So I just make $2 a month for everyone. I pay my AWS bill. And then people like yourself can develop unique content, and then maybe you could have other subscription services or one-time pay things where you made this expansion to the platform, and in order to access it, you need to pay for it, and then you make money off that. So it's kind of like it's not 100. I mean, it's open source in that. I mean, you still need to pay for the service, but
yeah.
But I don't know, that'd be a cool thing to do. But those are long-term plans. They don't happen.
Very long-term.
Yeah, I mean, I'm ready to dedicate. This idea that I have, if I even continue to do it, it's gonna take probably 15, 20 years, something like that. Which I accept that.
Accept my fate.
Yeah.
Not going anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that would be a cool.
I actually want to do that with, like, just the whole passive income thing.
Yeah,
like have either
I was talking to G about passive income.
Or like renting my car if I'm not using it.
Something where you're making money in your sleep.
Yeah.
G wanted to.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's been.
I think you have to. It's not gonna be that easy.
Yeah,
like you have to hustle.
Yeah.
Like you could probably make money, but like you gotta put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
And
it's not as easy as starting an Amazon account and having and like, but there is a way. Like they've definitely made it way easier where you can basically have the like you don't even actually do any of the.
You just say
shipping.
I buy the supplies, and then the supplies go to the Amazon warehouse.
You don't even need to do that. Like you can have it to where, I mean, it's kind of. I feel like it feels kind of shady, but like, I guess that's how they do it currently, where you buy supplies and sell for more. But you have it set up where every time someone purchases, they're actually shipping it from
the
location, China or wherever.
Okay, gotcha.
So you're not actually doing anything, but there's still
marking it.
Yeah, you're just like.
But you're basically looking. There's goods, and you're matching the goods with the market.
You're like basically the customer service and the marketer, I guess, for it.
Yeah.
But
and usually these guys only sell in bulk probably anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe, I don't know, you'd have to put some down payment of X amount of dollars or something like that.
Yeah. For some reason, I'm not too, like, I like the idea of it. I'm not too interested.
I don't like the idea of it. Or I'm not interested in it.
Yeah.
Just being a guy who just increases
you make a lot of money
price on it.
Yeah.
Maybe so. It also just wouldn't be that interesting to me. Like, what am I just... I'd rather be the guy making those things. That would be more interesting to me. Like get 3D printer and like make stuff. I don't know. Can you make socks out of 3D printer?
I'm trying to make like a certain piece and ship that.
That would be more interesting to me. There's
even the guy I bought the K70 BMW part from. Mm-hmm. He's a guy in like Switzerland.
And he 3D printed it?
He literally just, I don't know if he 3D printed it, but like he made the first circuit board for it, and then he found other people who were interested in buying it, and he just kept making that circuit board as like a side project. He still has his main job.
That's why I suggested to a G. I'm like,
make
you have this in-depth knowledge of electrical engineering,
and you want to sell.
I know you're working on intense stuff, but is there something you can work on related to that?
Yeah,
because that would probably pay off way more than freaking socks.
I actually think you could make a lot of, like, there's people who make a lot of money that way, who have Shopify accounts and make like over, $200,000 a year, and selling those really stupid but small things. Mm-hmm. My thing is what you were saying is like, one is that like, I mean, I guess if you're interested in that, that's cool, but
I wouldn't be.
I wouldn't be. Yeah. But if you had like some circuit that he created himself and was selling it, I'd be like, wow, damn, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not that who cares what other people think, but I think that would be more worth it.
And also your margins would be way higher.
Yeah.
Like,
probably.
as in like, I mean, selling like socks versus selling like electronic components that an electrical engineer needs to know how to make. You can charge, if it costs you, socks is like, let's say it costs you $1 to make a sock and you sell it for $2. If it costs you like, other than time, it costs you like $1 in little metal parts to make the chip.
Yeah, I'd agree.
You could probably sell that for like 100 times the value.
That's true.
And it'd be more interesting.
I think that's the main thing, is the interesting part of it.
Yeah, I agree.
The money-making aspect, I think, can work in both ways. But like you were saying, like the profit margins might be higher for that, but then there might be a bigger demand for socks, right? So
yeah. And even if let's say socks did pay you more, and it pays you can make $200K. You can make let's say you can make $300K selling socks and $200K selling.
But you have to invest 5 years like building up to that.
Well, let's just even say that it's all equal. Everything's equal except socks makes you 300K a year, and this computer chips makes you 200K. So you lose out on 100K.
100K.
But like, if making computer chips was that more interesting, it's like, who cares if you didn't make 300K?
Yeah.
I mean, unless, yeah.
Yeah.
Like at that point.
At that point, you're
like, if you're making nothing, then yeah, sell the socks. But if you're both making a living, it's like, just do the one that's more interesting. It's gonna be more valuable for you.
More longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Ajit
and it's like,
underestimates his age.
What do you mean?
Like, I think I think all of us do. Like, or not underestimate, overestimate? I don't know. But basically the idea that like you still have like a large amount of time, like 40 years, and even then, probably even longer than that.
Yeah.
So like you should, I guess, focus on things you'd enjoy, or like not worry as much about short-term things like, oh, I need like a new job. Like every year getting a new job is good for getting more money, but like you have to also think kind of macro level, like, okay,
the other thing is
10 years, am I going to still enjoy what I'm currently doing?
Yeah.
Which I feel like most of the time we don't really think about. We think more of like, okay, how am I going to make like more money in the next 2
you
3
want to
years?
pick something. You want to pick a job that you're going to like for a long period of time. Because also the other thing about spending time and stuff is that you should be learning new things in your said field.
Right.
Because if you're not, then that's fine, but you're not going to make more money.
Yeah. I think that's again, that's fine if you're not learning new things.
Yeah,
and you're just getting really good at it, but you have to enjoy it is the
right. But there's something, I mean, if you really are interested in like big money stuff, it's like the people who spend years developing things can sell out. There's a higher chance of them selling out than if you're
and then you're able to like do things that like maybe not necessarily make money but are more enjoyable to you, like just traveling full time.
Yeah,
so you're capable of doing those kind of things.
Yeah, but then I was just meant like, if you're figuring out details about things and you're spending years doing it, you're uncovering stuff that other people are not, and there's a chance that you can strike gold, essentially. I'm being very general and abstract.
Yeah, I'm also going to be very general and abstract and say that I think you have a higher chance of selling out or like making a lot of money and doing something very obscure and has already been done before.
Oh.
Like,
wait, obscure and has already been done before?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, as in, I think you have a higher chance of making more money being like an expert donut maker versus I'm trying to build a new circuit board or a new like drug. I think you have a higher chance of being the,
I don't know.
I guess, yeah. I mean, we're just kind of generalizing, but I feel like there would be a higher...
Because the guys who make the big bucks are the ones who come with the ideas that, one, nobody even thought
I'm not saying
possible.
that they wouldn't make more, like they wouldn't make more money. I was saying the aspect of there being a higher chance of you...
I see what you're saying. You're saying is the people who invent Facebook are like very low percentage shots.
I'm sure there's
the donut maker guys is like, everyone knows it, but you can make more money over that period of time.
Yeah.
I guess
there's so many people I've heard from, like friends that are like creating and me included. I'm creating an app or creating a something cool.
Well, I guess the counter argument is like, I guess if you're both, you shouldn't be giving up your job to do these low percentage shots. Like, you should keep your job and do the low percentage shots like on the side. Yeah. And that should just be a continuous thing. Yeah. And then you transition once you get traction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to make donuts and you can make donuts, that's fine too.
But I think for us or for
But if you're
people is like pick something.
Yeah, the bottom line is
20 years from now
pick something that you're gonna. If you worked on it for 20 years, you wouldn't be like, oh, I wasted my time. Or,
unless you plan on doing something that isn't gonna make any money. Like if you enjoy doing something that doesn't make you money, then you should focus on making money. I don't know.
Well, I mean, then you have to be realistic with yourself. If you can't even make money, then you probably can't do the thing.
Like, let's say I like fishing, but I don't want to fish commercially. I just want to fish.
Well, you should have a job.
You should keep
your job, and then until your little fishing thing turns a profit.
But I don't want to turn a profit for it. I just enjoy fishing, but I want to do it full time.
Well, then you have to have your job. I mean, unless you're hella rich.
Yeah,
that's being too.
That would be the only. That would be my only argument for let's make a bunch of money in the next 5-10 years. Is if
even that's if that's your.
I want to be an expert painter, but I know my paintings aren't going to sell for that much because everyone's buying computer generated images. Right?
If you want to lose weight, I'm stealing this from someone, but I can't remember who. If you want to lose weight, you can't lose weight by wanting to lose weight. You have to get healthy, and then losing weight will come with that. So if you want to make a lot of money, you can't go, I want to make a lot of money. You have to say, I want to I want to go into commercial fishing and hit these specific markets with these rare fishes that are highly valued, and then money will come for that. So if you say something like, yo, man, how do we make a bunch of money? Like, you're already off on the wrong foot.
Oh, yeah. But I also think you could potentially do something that is kind of interest level wise isn't negative but isn't positive. Mm-hmm. And then for the next 5-10 years you're saving a huge portion of your paycheck so that you could be financially independent in that 10 years.
Yeah, that's true.
To do the stupid thing that doesn't make money.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's true.
But I do agree with you. You should. You shouldn't. Your thing should be how we make next quick money.
Yeah, that doesn't.
The quick million. Come on.
The only way, funny enough, you can do that is if you already have a lot of money. It's if you have $100 million, then you can be like, how do I make a hell of a lot of money? Well, you can invest it in this and make 10% of $1 million. That's
compounds.
So at that level, you can do that kind of stuff.
But what you should be thinking of is
the mentality really should be
I'm really passionate about this. Let me get really good at
it. It's like a balance between what you're interested in and what there can be a market for, and that part is very fuzzy. Yeah. The interest part is a little more clear. You kind of know what you like and what you don't like.
The market for thing, you could almost create that.
Yeah, that's true. Those are the guys who make. It's like Snapchat. It's like photos that disappear. Yeah. I wouldn't have. Now it's a staple, but I wouldn't have known that.
That would be a thing.
And filters, funny little face filters on your face. I wouldn't have thought.
Filters was.
Not even
thing too.
Well, I mean, not even just Instagram filters where the whole thing's black and white or grainy. I'm talking about where you have a mustache on your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wouldn't have thought of that.
Exactly. And those things kind of come from. It's kind of like before you had your job in digital marketing. I'm sure there's things now that you wouldn't have known if you didn't have the job that you have now.
Well, to be honest, even the industry itself.
Yeah, exactly.
5-10 years ago, or I would say 6 years ago, I didn't even have a clue. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know people managed advertising on Google, or even thought about Google advertising.
Right. So some things is
I didn't even think about how Google made money.
Right. So some things if you're someone who's I want to make a lot of money, it's go travel down different avenues like this or some other jobs, and then ideas might come as you're working. So when you have these jobs that you get, you'll be oh, I didn't even know this stuff existed. Oh, here's something I can improve on that's on an industrial level, or something like that. What time are we at? Oh, 1 hour. All right.
Nice. We did it, man.
We did it. I can go back to my program now.
All right.
All right. Well, if that's all, then
that's all, folks.
Well, next time we might have a guest, Michael, on the program,
live
in the flesh, and so that'll be interesting. But
when are our parents coming back?
I don't want to say, just because this is a public forum, and I don't want people to.
Oh yeah. So.
Well, it doesn't even matter because I'm always here anyway. I don't leave, so.
Wait.
You can't rob me, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah. Anywho, thanks for tuning in, and until next time, settle out.
See you later.